Hello there, and welcome to Reach for Power, where we take a closer look at the power itself and the strategies to build it. We also analyze various roadblocks, self-limiting beliefs and behaviors that might be jeopardizing your potential. I am your host, Monika Kruk, and in this episode, we will kick off our two-part analysis of self-sabotaging cognitive distortions, also known as thinking traps. Let's start, as usual, with the relevant definition. Cognitive distortion, also known as a thinking trap, is a term used in cognitive psychology and cognitive behavioral therapy, so-called CBT, to describe irrational or biased patterns of thinking that can lead to negative emotions and behaviors. These distortions are errors in our perception and interpretation of events, and they can contribute to psychological distress, anxiety, and depression. In part one of our deep dive, we will focus on the following thinking traps: all or nothing, catastrophizing, ignoring or overlooking positives, labeling, exaggerating or belittling. Let's get started. All or nothing. The all or nothing thinking trap is a cognitive distortion, also known as black and white thinking or dichotomous thinking, where individuals perceive situations in extreme, polarized terms. They see things as either perfect or a complete failure with no middle ground. This type of thinking can lead to distorted perceptions of reality and contribute to a variety of emotional and behavioral issues. Here are some key points to consider about the all or nothing thinking trap. First of all, it is extreme in its evaluation. People who fall into this trap tend to evaluate their own or others' performance in absolute terms. For example, if they do not excel at something, they view themselves as a total failure, even if they made progress or achieved some success. This thinking pattern is often associated with perfectionism, where individuals believe that anything less than perfect is unacceptable. As a result, they may set unrealistically high standards for themselves and experience chronic dissatisfaction. All or nothing thinking can lead to inflexibility in terms of problem solving and decision making. It makes it challenging to find compromises or middle ground solutions. It introduces rigidity. This thinking style can also contribute to emotional distress, as individuals may experience extreme feelings of anxiety, guilt, or frustration when they perceive a situation as falling short of their ideal expectations. In relationships, people who engage in all or nothing may have difficulty accepting imperfections in others, leading to strained relationships and unrealistic expectations. This is also one of the several cognitive distortions identified in the cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT aims to help individuals recognize and challenge such distortions to improve their mental well-being. Okay, after painting this somewhat daunting picture, let's have a look what we can do to overcome the all or nothing thinking trap. What can be helpful? First of all, mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness techniques can help you become more aware of your thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing you to observe and challenge extreme thinking patterns. Also, questioning your beliefs. When you challenge the black and white beliefs you hold about yourself, others, and situations, you can also ask yourself whether there is any middle ground or shades of gray in terms of different solutions. Point number 3 would be to set realistic goals. In other words, strive for realistic and achievable targets instead of setting unattainable standards for yourself. Another element is embracing your imperfections. Recognize that nobody is perfect, and that making mistakes or experiencing setbacks is a normal part of life. It doesn't mean you are a complete failure. If everything else proves futile, seek professional help. If all or nothing thinking is causing significant distress or interfering with your life, consider consulting a mental health professional, such as therapist or counselor or a coach, who can provide guidance and support in addressing this cognitive distortion. Thinking trap number 2, catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is another common thinking trap, which involves the tendency to imagine and focus on the worst case scenario or outcome in any given situation. People who engage in catastrophizing often exaggerate the potential negative consequences of an event, even when there's little or no evidence to support such a dire outcome. Here are some thoughts that might help to understand and address catastrophizing. So, as mentioned, it involves magnifying the significance of problems, mistakes, or undesirable situations. This type of thinking makes individuals believe that the worst possible outcome is not only likely, but inevitable. What it causes is increased anxiety and stress. When individuals constantly anticipate worst case scenarios, their bodies may remain in a chronic state of stress, leading to physical and emotional health issues. People who catastrophize often overlook or discount positive aspects or potential solutions to a situation. They become fixated on the negative and fail to see a more balanced perspective. As a result, this type of thinking can lead to avoidance behaviors. If someone constantly fears the worst, they may avoid taking risks or facing challenges, which can limit their personal growth and opportunities. Unfortunately, in some cases, constant worry and fear of negative outcomes can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as individuals may inadvertently sabotage their own efforts due to excessive anxiety and doubt. To address catastrophizing, consider the following strategies. First of all, identify the thoughts. Recognize when you are engaging in catastrophic thinking. Pay attention to the language you use in your thoughts, such as words like never, always, worst, and catastrophe. Then challenge your negative thoughts. Question the validity of your catastrophic ideas. Ask yourself if there is evidence to support your worst case scenario. Are there any alternative, more realistic outcomes? Strive to adopt a more realistic and balanced perspective. Instead of jumping to the worst case scenario, consider the full range of potential outcomes, both positive and negative. Develop problem-solving skills to address potential challenges. Instead of dwelling on the problem, focus on finding solutions and taking practical steps to mitigate negative outcomes and potential risks. Techniques such as mindfulness, meditation, and stress reduction exercises can help you stay grounded in the present moment and reduce anxiety related to future catastrophes. Again, if need be, and if catastrophizing is causing significant distress or interfering with your life, consider seeking support from a mental health professional or a trained professional who can provide guidance and therapeutic interventions to help you address this thinking trap. Thinking trap number 3, ignoring or overlooking positives. Ignoring or overlooking positive feedback and information is a cognitive distortion where individuals tend to focus excessively on the negative feedback while dismissing or downplaying positive feedback or information. This thinking trap can lead to low self-esteem, skewed perception of reality, and missed opportunities for personal and professional growth. Here is a framework for understanding and addressing this cognitive distortion. First of all, selective attention to negatives. Individuals who engage in this thinking trap have a tendency to pay more attention to negative comments, criticism, or aspects of situation, often ignoring or minimizing the positive ones. Over time, consistently ignoring positive feedback can lead to a distorted self-image, with individuals seeing themselves as inadequate or incapable, even when evidence suggests otherwise. By dismissing positive feedback or information, individuals might miss valuable opportunities for learning, growth, and personal development. This can hinder their progress in various aspects of life. Ignoring positive feedback can also affect relationships, as individuals may not acknowledge or appreciate the support and encouragement that they receive from others. Over time, the tendency to ignore positive feedback can become again a self-fulfilling prophecy, reinforcing negative beliefs and behaviors. To overcome this thinking trap, consider the following strategies. Again, good old awareness. Begin by recognizing when you are engaging in this distortion. Pay attention to moments when you downplay or dismiss positive information that you receive. Challenge this negative self-talk by actively countering self-depreciating thoughts. Instead of immediately dismissing compliments or positive comments, accept and internalize them. Keep a journal or a record of positive feedback and compliments you receive. This can serve as a reminder of your strengths and achievements when self-doubt creeps in. Also, consider cultivating a sense of gratitude for the positive aspects of your life. Regularly reflect on the things you appreciate and the people who support you. When seeking feedback from others, encourage them to provide both positive and constructive feedback. This can help you gain a more balanced perspective. Practice self-compassion by treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to a friend. Recognize your worth and celebrate your accomplishments. Again, if this thinking trap significantly impacts your self-esteem and daily life, consider seeking guidance. Thinking trap labeling. Labeling, also known as personalization or global labeling, is a cognitive distortion where individuals assign global and highly negative labels to themselves or others based on specific behavior or incident. This thinking trap can lead to distorted perceptions, low self-esteem, and strained relationships. Here is a framework for understanding and addressing this labeling cognitive distortion. First of all, it involves applying sweeping negative labels to individuals or oneself based on specific actions or behaviors. For example, making a mistake at work might lead someone to label themselves as a complete failure. These labels can become a self-fulfilling prophecies, as people may start to act in ways that align with the negative label they've given themselves or the others. This reinforces the distortion. Labeling can also have a profound impact on self-esteem. Over time, consistently labeling oneself negatively can lead to low self-worth and self-doubt. When individuals label others with negative global terms, it can strain relationships and it doesn't allow for nuance or the recognition of positive qualities. Labeling often involves binary or our well-known friend all or nothing thinking, as people see themselves or others as either entirely good or entirely bad. To overcome the thinking trap of labeling, consider the following strategies. Again, look at yourself first. Recognize when you are engaging in labeling. Be mindful of moments when you are assigning global negative labels to yourself or others. Question the validity of the labels you've assigned. Are they based on a single action or behavior, Or do they ignore the broader context? Instead of using global negative labels, reframe your thoughts or language to be more specific and balanced. For example, replace I am a complete failure with I made a mistake in this particular situation. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, as you would a friend. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and has strengths and weaknesses. When assessing the actions or behaviors of others, take into account the context and circumstances. People are not defined solely by their singular mistakes. Encourage and welcome constructive criticism and feedback, but also remember to acknowledge and appreciate your positive qualities and accomplishments. Thinking trap of exaggerating and or belittling. Exaggerating or belittling, also known as magnification and minimization, is a cognitive distortion where individuals either inflate the importance of negative events or minimize the significance of positive events. This type of thinking trap can lead to distorted perceptions, heightened anxiety, and a skewed outlook on life. Let's have a closer look at it. Exaggeration involves blowing negative events, mistakes, or flaws out of proportion. People may see small setbacks as catastrophic failures. On the other side, belittling involves downplaying or minimizing positive events, achievements, or one's own strengths and qualities. Individuals may dismiss compliments or successes as unimportant or undeserved. You see, I'm sure, the logical link with labeling here, right? These thinking patterns can lead to negative self-evaluation. People may perceive themselves as inadequate, incapable, or unworthy due to their focus on exaggerated negatives and minimized positives. Exaggeration and belittling, as mentioned, can contribute to heightened anxiety and stress as individuals constantly anticipate negative outcomes and ignore positive aspects of their life. This thinking trap can impair decision making by making it difficult to assess situations objectively and make balanced choices. What to do with it then? Once again, you guessed it, be aware of it. Recognize when you are engaging in this cognitive distortion. Pay attention to moments when you are either exaggerating negatives or minimizing positives. Question the validity of your thoughts. Are you truly as inadequate or incapable as you believe? Are your mistakes as significant as they seem? Strive to adopt a more balanced perspective. Consider the full range of potential outcomes, both positive and negative, without falling into the trap of exaggeration or belittling. Techniques like mindfulness meditation can help you stay grounded in the present moment and reduce the anxiety related to exaggerated negatives. Regularly reflect on and appreciate the positive aspects of your life. Recognize and celebrate your strengths and achievements. And when evaluating your own performance, seek feedback from others and encourage them to provide both positive and constructive feedback to gain a more balanced perspective. This concludes our first part of self-sabotaging cognitive distortions. Just to sum up, we have covered today all or nothing, catastrophizing, ignoring or overlooking positives, labeling, and exaggerating or belittling. In part 2 of this analysis, in the next episode, we will cover mind reading, excessive generalization, abuse of imperatives, and tunnel vision. We will also have a look at the list of self-help questions that might help you overcome and take under control some of the self-sabotaging thinking traps. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe to have regular access to the newly published content. You are also welcome to check Reach for Power webpage at reachforpower.com for more materials, share your thoughts, and follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining me today. and keep on reaching for power.